Hey gamers, today we're going to look at Caylus 1303. Let's check it out. Setup for the game is very simple. What you're going to do is you're going to shuffle these little tokens or cards with the little yellow mark in them, and then just deliver them out in the areas that match that yellow mark. So the board will always kind of be different here. You're going to put the provost, is what it's called, right here on the bridge, and then you're going to randomly select a wood building, not the one that can build stone buildings, that has to stay in the deck, but randomly select another one, place it here, and then right here where it has the stone emblem, it's kind of gray, maybe you can't see it, but you'll randomly select a stone one and put it there. Also, you're going to, whatever yellow flag one you do not use when you shuffle up, one will go here. You'll randomly give a wood building here, and you'll randomly put a stone building here. You also put some workers in the worker camp, depending on how many players you're playing. Workers, everyone will start, if it's a 2 to 5 player game, they'll start with 10 meeples. If it's a 3 or 4 player game, they're only going to start with 6, and then the rest of them will be in the camp. So I'm playing a 2-player version, so there's 6 in the camp and 10 in their hand. It'd be vice versa if it was 3 to 4 players. And then they're going to have several of these little houses as well to use. The first player will get the first player token here. You'll have a stack of abilities here where the last player will pick first, and then back up to the first player, everyone will pick one, and then you'll just deal randomly 3 out there on the top of the board. The rest of the stack goes there. So let me see, you have your little individual stacks here of wood, of stone, and of special buildings, which I'll talk about later. The game has a nice big a bunch of tokens here. They come in 1, 3, 5, and 10 victory points. You can flip them over. They're all the same look, so that way you can hide your points from everyone. Each person will start with 2 wood, 1 stone, and 1 meat. Also in the game you can get silk and gold as well. But anyway, everyone's going to start with the 2 wood, 1 meat, and 1 stone. And again, starting with the first player, what you're going to do is, this is just basic worker placement. You're going to place on any of the pre-printed versions of the board or any of these tiles, even up to here. You can't place on here yet until you've built enough buildings to reach there. And so one by one, not in any particular order, everyone can start placing their meeples out wherever they want. Now, eventually, these places are going to get pretty full, and someone's going to say, you know what, and let's say Black does it, he says, I pass. Well, the first person to pass automatically gets the first player token, or keeps it because they'll be first player. And after that, if Red wanted to play something, it would be, and there's a little ghost +1 meeple on here, meaning he has to pay basically 2 meeples to put it on a spot. So let's say he wanted to go here, well, he'd have to also pay 1 in the workers area there just to go there. Now eventually it's going to be way expensive, and he's going to pass as well. Once all players have passed, then you can resolve in order. And just kind of real quick to show you what each one does. Here, the pre-printed places, this one gives you, you pay a wood, you get a favor. Favors are up here, meaning you can take advantage of one of these. You do have to pay a meeple though, and you can take advantage of anything as long, depending on what round it is. So in the first 3 rounds, this is the only option you have. In the 4th round, you get 2 options, and in the 7th round, you can do any of those. So basically, that's what that one does. This one down here, if you pay 1 silk, then you can buy one of these buildings. Now, when you buy a building, you basically, or buy some land, I guess, you put this building on top of it. And it can be anyone. It can be one that a player's on, because you really won't flip it over until after everyone has taken their turn. But let's say I did it here, and it was the end of the round. At the end of the round, I would take this, and I'd flip it over, and it'd become a residence now. Now that I've established residence there, you see I have this little meeple token. That means I'm going to get a +1 meeple returned back to me at the end of the round. At the end of each round, everyone gets 3 meeples back from the worker camp. But because I bought a little house, I will get 4 meeples back. And of course, the more houses you have, the more resources you're taking away from the game, but the more workers you're getting in. So you can really make some resources pretty scarce after a while. And of course, the buildings will bring out more resources, but that's how you can do it. Now later on, there is ways to upgrade that residence, but you're going to need gold. Gold can be be found when you get to the stone buildings. But as you see, paying for gold in all these, you can make some big victory points. And by the way, you would get victory points for any of these big buildings you'd upgrade it to. And even some of the lower point ones, you could get extra stuff like food, income, or 2 extra meeples per round, or 1 extra silk, which is pretty good. Even though they're low victory points, they do give you nice stuff there. That's if, and if you did upgrade it, you would just place the token over it, you know, over that one, and say you've upgraded it, and you just get the points, and that'd be it. But anyway, that's the buildings there. Over here, it lets you, and this one and the same token there, will let you build any wood token as long as you have the resources. Resources right there, so that's wood and any other resource. That's wood and silk, wood and any resource, wood and meat. All right, so anyway, you pay for one of these. Once you pay for it, you will place it on the board to the next open space available, and then you will put your little house on it, signifying that it is yours. Now, you get 4 victory points for building this particular one. As of course, you just look at the victory points there and you get them. And if another player later on in turns were to play right there, you would also get an additional victory point because you own that place. So it does behoove you to build stuff in this game. Now, next up is the provost. And by the way, when you're taking these actions, you're not going to take these back into your hand. You got to get used to putting them in the worker camp because they're out of play at that point. But the provost, you can move them up to or back to. Now, why this is important is, let's say the red player did this and they moved him back 1, 2. Well, when scoring the round and everything, these 2 will not score because or you can't take advantage of these 2 tiles because the provost isn't ahead of them. He always has to be ahead of things. If he's behind these, you can really screw other players over. Now, don't worry, because after this one, the next one lets you move the provost up to 3 spaces backwards and forwards, but you have to pay meeples to do it. So if black really wanted that, he could say, okay, I'm paying 2 meeples into the work site to move this 1, 2. Now I'll be able to take those actions. So he moves his house. But now it's red's turn. Red can say, you know what? I actually had 2 red meeples left over, and nah, screw you. So you can do it in multiplayer games. You can really start screwing players over and move this way back and let none of these take advantage of anything. Now, at the end of the round, when everyone's taking their turn, the provost will move back up past the bridge if there's another building, and he'll move right up next to the next building. He'll be right behind the first building at the end of every round. Anyway, other actions, the cards they're kind of self-explanatory here, but this one you pay an additional meeple on top of this, and then you get any type of good you want. Same thing for that one. That one gives you stone. That one lets you build. That one gives you food. That one you exchange a good. You get 3 men from the worker camp. This one 2 food, so on and so forth. All right, and all the tiles are really self-explanatory. So anyway, another place you can place workers in, let's say black placed one up here. You can always place them up here even though there is no buildings up there. You can always place one there. And multiple players. I mean, you can put more than one there if you want to. But what this does is, this is where you can get favors. What you do is you pay 1 meat and then 2 of any resource, but they can't be the same. So 3 different resources, one of them has to be meat, and for that you get a favor. You get to take advantage of one of these advantages here, as depending on what round it is, of course. You also get 5 victory points, and if you want to, instead of that, if you want to go ahead and you can get another power, a superpower, or you can steal one from another player, which is really cool. And by the way, all these are good. Like I said, you start with one, and then you can get more later on or steal from others, but they're all good. This one moves the provost up, one backer up. Really good card, really powerful one. This one says, hey, remember when someone passes and now you have to pay a +1 meeple? You can ignore that. Oh, that's huge. I love that one. This one's very good. It gets you a bonus meeple to be returned from the camp. So if you have this one, you start off with getting 4 meeples back, and maybe 5 if you had that as well. This one's really cool. It lets you take advantage of the castle without having to place a meeple there. That's really nice. This one's kind of like the El Grande worker in viticulture. This one lets you place on a worker that there's already one there. So you can only do that once per turn, but that's what it allows you to do. So you won't be locked out. That's a very popular tile to have. These are all actually popular. This one's pretty good because if you pay one of your resources, if one of your resources is gold, you will get a +5 victory points. That's basically 10 victory points. Holy cow, on your turn there. That's really big. This one, whenever you do favors, whenever you go get favors, you will get a +1. So it's instead of 5, it's always 6. And by the way, these can combo. So if I had this one, I'd be getting 11 victory points for doing that. So that's really nice. This one, when you go to pay a favor, it can be 3 of any good. Doesn't have to be food. And they can all be the same if you want them to. So it makes it easier to get those favors. This one, every time you build a building, remember I told you get the victory points? Well, now you're going to get victory points +1 on everything you do. Even these bigger buildings here, you can get a +1 on it. So that's really neat if you plan on building a lot of buildings. This one, instead of people paying you instead of you getting, people don't pay you, but instead of you getting 1 victory point, you're going to get 2 victory points. If you own a lot of houses, this is a great one to have. This one's great. If your opponent owns a lot of houses, when you place on another opponent's land, you don't have to pay them. No matter what it says. That's really cool. This one's also a very popular one too. This one lets you go first. This is basically turn 0. So you get to place a meeple before first player does. And if you have the first player token, basically you get 2 back-to-back turns. All of these are really good. All of them have a strategy to win. But anyway, so after all that is done, the end of the round goes, and of course this is where you would flip over. Like I said, at the end of the round you would flip over from yellow to green if you had anyone buy houses. If you had anyone upgrading from green to blue, you can do that at that time next. And then here it goes. Here it says, okay, everyone get back their meeples depending on how many players there are. If it's 5 players, you're only getting 2. If it's 2 to 4, you're getting 3, and then plus any extra bonus ones they have. Of course, the provost gets reset, the round marker gets moved, and this one says at the 9th round, at the end of the game, you add up whoever has any leftover gold is worth 2 victory points each. And then, of course, then you add up all of your victory points, and whoever has the most wins. Final thoughts. What do I think about the game? Well, you know what? I've heard a lot of reviewers talk about this game and how they say, well, you know, it's kind of just straight basic worker placement. It's not that, new or anything. And the whole time I'd watch their review and they'd kind of poop on it at the end saying it's nothing special. I'd go, yeah, but the game looks great to me. This game is awesome. I don't know what they're talking about. I love this game. Sure, I mean, basic cut and dry worker placement, right? Put workers down, gather resources, build buildings, get points, yada yada, score them when people play on your buildings and stuff. But I like that. And the artwork looks really nice. This game goes smooth and it's fun to play. We have a lot of fun. The more players, the merrier. It scales pretty well too. Even at 2 players, I really had a good time playing. I rarely play games with 2 players, but I tried it out because I wanted to try out all types of players. I don't think I'd try to 5 though. But 3 players, 4 players, it's really fun. I really enjoy it. The game gets really tight when the more players you have, but it is a lot of fun. I highly recommend this game. Now, I never played the old version. I don't know if there's anything different from the old or the new. I just know I saw this. It looked nice. The gameplay is smooth. Beginner level, medium level. I don't know. I really love it. I don't think it's for kids. I don't think it's for families. Families can play it though. I think it's a really awesome game. So I don't know what all the hubbub is about saying, it's nothing special. I mean, honestly, this could be one of my top 100 games for the year. I don't know. I mean, I really do like it. The more I play it, the more I love it. All right, gamers. That's all the time I have for now. Until next time, you know what to do. Game on!